Marcus Aurelius. Mastering the mind in chaos. How do you remain steady when everything around you is unstable? How do you think clearly when pressure surrounds you? How do you stay disciplined when responsibility never sleeps? Most people believe peace requires quiet conditions, but life rarely offers quiet. There is noise, expectation, conflict, loss, uncertainty. And when the outside world becomes chaotic, the inside world often follows. Humans react quickly. We blame circumstance, we blame people, we blame timing, we blame fate. Because it feels easier to control the story than to control the mind. But what if stability does not depend on conditions? What if strength is not found in escaping pressure, but in governing perception under pressure? Nearly 2,000 years ago, a man asked this question not as a theory, but as a daily survival necessity. His name was Marcus Aurelius. He was not a monk, not a detached scholar, not a philosopher in isolation. He was a ruler of an empire, surrounded by war, betrayal, disease, and responsibility. And yet his writings reveal one of the calmest minds in recorded history. To understand his wisdom, we must first understand the world that demanded it. The historical mind environment. The world Marcus Aurelius inherited was powerful, but not peaceful. The Roman Empire stood at its height. Vast territory, military strength, political dominance. From the outside, it looked invincible. But inside, pressure was constant. Borders were under threat. Wars stretched resources thin. Plagues spread across cities. Political tension simmered beneath authority. Power did not remove chaos. It multiplied responsibility. To rule Rome was not symbolic. It meant daily decisions affecting millions. Judgments that shaped stability or collapse. Command over armies. Management of crises. There was no retreat into silence. No escape from consequence. And unlike many rulers before him, Marcus Aurelius did not seek power. He was placed into it. He had been trained in philosophy from youth, guided toward reflection, restraint, and discipline. But now those teachings would be tested under extreme pressure. He faced a reality many leaders discover. Outer authority does not guarantee inner stability. Control over others does not equal control over self. It is inside this tension, between external chaos and internal discipline, that his philosophy takes shape. To understand it fully, we must see the human behind the emperor. The human behind the emperor. Before he was emperor, Marcus Aurelius was a quiet, reflective child. He was not drawn to luxury. He preferred simplicity, study, restraint. From a young age, he was introduced to Stoic teachers, men who trained him not in dominance but in discipline. He learned early that comfort weakens character if it is not governed by principle. When he was adopted into the imperial line, his future was no longer his own. He did not chase the throne. The throne came to him, and with it came constant burden. Wars at the borders, rebellions, economic strain, a devastating plague, personal loss, including the deaths of children. He ruled not from marble peace, but from military camps. Many of his private reflections, later known as meditations, were written on campaign in the middle of instability. These writings were not speeches, not public philosophy. They were instructions to himself. He did not write to impress others. He wrote to correct his own thinking. This is important. His philosophy was not theory. It was survival discipline. The question he faced daily was simple. How do I govern an empire without being governed by my emotions? The core problem he tried to solve. Marcus Aurelius did not struggle with power. He struggled with perception. He understood something many leaders ignore. Events are not the true source of disturbance. Interpretation is. War is an event. Loss is an event. Insult is an event. Failure is an event. But suffering intensifies when the mind adds judgment. This should not happen. This is unfair. This ruins everything. I cannot endure this. The event occurs once. The interpretation repeats it endlessly. Marcus saw clearly. The world does not obey preference. It moves by forces larger than personal desire. To demand that reality align with comfort is to create constant frustration. So the problem he chose to confront was not, how do I control circumstances? It was, how do I prevent circumstances from controlling my mind? He observed that many people believe strength means dominance over others. But he saw a deeper weakness. A person who cannot govern their own thoughts is easily governed by events. Anger becomes master. Fear becomes master. Praise becomes master. Criticism becomes master. External chaos becomes internal chaos when the mind lacks discipline. So Marcus trained himself daily to separate what is within control from what is not. From this distinction, his central idea emerges. The central idea: control the mind, not the event. At the center of Marcus Aurelius' philosophy is a clear distinction. Some things are within your control, some things are not. This is not pessimism, it is precision. You do not control the weather, the economy, other people's opinions, unexpected illness, sudden loss, the past. You do control your judgment, your interpretation, your response, your effort, your character. Confusion begins when these categories are mixed. Most frustration comes from trying to control what is external while neglecting what is internal. Marcus disciplined himself to reverse this pattern. He would say, in essence, the event is neutral. My reaction gives it weight. If insulted, he asked, is my character harmed or only my pride? If facing loss, he asked, is this outside my control? If so, can I accept it with dignity? If confronted with hardship, he reminded himself, this is part of the human condition, not a personal injustice. He trained his mind to pause between event and reaction. In that pause, freedom appears. Without that pause, impulse rules. This is the Stoic discipline. Do not demand that the world behave differently. Train the mind to respond differently. But like all deep wisdom, this idea faces resistance, because it challenges something comfortable. The method he practiced daily. Marcus Aurelius did not rely on inspiration. He relied on repetition. His private writings, later known as meditations, were not philosophical essays. They were reminders, short instructions to himself, mental corrections, internal realignments. His method can be seen in 3 disciplined movements. First, observe the event without exaggeration. He would strip situations down to their bare facts. Not, this is terrible, but this has happened. Not, this ruins everything, but this is a challenge. When language becomes dramatic, emotion escalates. When language becomes precise, emotion stabilizes. Second, separate the event from your judgment. He would ask, is this within my control? If not, why resist it? If yes, what is the right action? This separation prevents emotional overreach. Events belong to the world. Judgment belongs to the mind. Third, Choose character over impulse. He reminded himself daily, you can be angry or you can be disciplined. You can complain or you can act. You can blame or you can improve. No one could stop external events, but he could decide what kind of person he would be inside them. He practiced this especially during war, illness, and political tension, not to appear calm, but to remain functional, because emotional instability weakens decision-making. But this discipline confronts a common human resistance. Most people believe their emotions are caused by the world. Marcus believed they are shaped by interpretation. Why humans resist inner control. Marcus Aurelius understood that Stoic discipline sounds simple, but feels difficult, because it removes a comfort many people rely on: blame. When something goes wrong, it feels natural to say, they caused this. This situation ruined my peace. If things were different, I would be fine. Blame protects the ego. It shifts responsibility outward, but it also removes power. If your emotional state depends entirely on external behavior, then your stability is fragile. Anyone can disturb you. Anything can unsettle you. Circumstance becomes master. Marcus challenged this quietly. He did not deny that events are painful. He did not pretend hardship disappears. He simply asked, why add mental suffering to unavoidable difficulty? The event is often unavoidable. The interpretation is optional. Many resist this idea because it feels unfair. If I did not cause this problem, why must I manage my reaction? But Stoicism is not about fairness. It is about effectiveness. Whether or not you caused the event, you are responsible for your response. This is uncomfortable because it removes excuses, but it also restores control. And when applied consistently, this discipline changes how a person moves through modern life. The modern mirror. Stability in an age of reaction. The world today is faster than Rome, but the human nervous system is the same. Information moves instantly. Opinions collide constantly. Expectations rise endlessly. Reaction has become normal. Anger spreads quickly. Outrage travels fast. Comparison never rests. In such an environment, an undisciplined mind is constantly disturbed. Marcus Aurelius would recognize this pattern immediately. He would not blame technology. He would examine interpretation. The event appears. The mind reacts. Emotion escalates. Very little pause exists between stimulus and response. But the Stoic discipline remains relevant. You cannot control the volume of the world. You can control the volume of your reaction. You cannot stop difficulty from arriving. You can decide how long it lives in your mind. Modern instability often comes from expecting permanence in a changing world, expecting agreement from diverse minds, expecting comfort from unpredictable systems. When expectation clashes with reality, disturbance follows. Marcus would remind us, the world is not obligated to match preference, but the mind is capable of discipline. This is not emotional suppression. It is emotional governance, not pretending nothing hurts, but refusing to amplify pain unnecessarily. From this perspective, the final question becomes practical. How does a person train this discipline daily? The discipline practice, training the inner ruler. Marcus Aurelius did not wait for crisis to practice control. He trained before reaction was required, because discipline built in calm moments protects you in chaotic ones. His practice can be translated into daily mental exercises. First, morning preparation. He would remind himself, Today I will meet difficulty. Today I will meet impatience. Today I will meet selfishness. Not with pessimism, but with readiness. When you expect friction, you are less shocked by it. Second, the pause. Before reacting, insert space. An insult arrives, a delay happens, a mistake is made. Pause. Ask, is this within my control? What response protects my character? In that pause, impulse weakens. Third, reframing hardship. Instead of asking, why me? Ask, what does this train? Patience, endurance, clarity, restraint. Hardship becomes material for growth when viewed as training instead of punishment. Fourth, night reflection. Marcus would review his day. Where did I react poorly? Where did I remain steady? What must I improve tomorrow? No self-hatred, no self-deception, only correction. This is the essence of Stoic leadership. Govern your thoughts before you attempt to govern circumstances. Rule the inner empire before managing the outer one. And this leads to the final reflection, not about Rome, but about you. Closing reflection. The inner empire. Marcus Aurelius ruled one of the most powerful empires in history. Yet his greatest concern was not territory. It was thought. He understood something that outlives Rome. A person may command armies and still be defeated by anger. A person may hold authority and still be ruled by fear. A person may possess wealth and still lack discipline. Outer power does not equal inner order. The true empire is internal. It is made of perception, judgment, response, character. If this inner structure is unstable, no external success can compensate. Marcus did not promise comfort. He promised clarity. He did not promise control over events. He promised control over interpretation. In a world that constantly shifts, this remains one stable truth. Events will come and go. Circumstances will rise and fall. Opinions will change. But the trained mind can remain steady. To master the mind is not to suppress emotion. It is to guide it. Not to deny difficulty, but to refuse unnecessary suffering. This is not ancient advice. It is human discipline, and that discipline is always available. Human lessons from Marcus Aurelius. You cannot control events, only your response. Reaction is immediate. Discipline is chosen. Blame weakens power. Responsibility restores it. The event is neutral. Interpretation gives it weight. Pause before responding. Freedom lives there. Train the mind daily, not only in crisis. Character is stronger than circumstance. Inner order creates outer stability. Oba DeGods. As within, so without. As above, so below. The Master of Mind. Subscribe to DeGods Archive and train your mind with the greatest thinkers in history.